Welcome to the Cala Builders Podcast. Usually when we think about the concept of a backyard, we have this deeply ingrained, almost cinematic image in our
Oh,
heads.
absolutely. Like the classic movie setup.
Right. We picture sweeping green lawns, maybe a massive oak tree with a tire swing, a golden retriever fetching a frisbee, and just, endless room to roam.
Yeah, the sprawling American estate.
Exactly. But then reality hits. You step out the back door of your Los Angeles home, and instead of a sprawling estate, you are staring at what is essentially a concrete bowling alley.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so common.
It's just a narrow, cramped little strip of space trapped between two very high, very imposing fences.
And suddenly that dream of an outdoor oasis feels, well, entirely out of reach.
It really does. It's this pervasive feeling of disappointment.
Yeah, especially in densely populated urban environments. I mean, we tend to look at small or narrow outdoor spaces and we only see the physical limitations.
Right, like the walls literally feel like they are closing in on you.
Exactly. And because of that claustrophobia, it's incredibly common to just, throw a plastic chair out there, maybe a sad potted plant, call it a day, and never actually utilize the space.
It just becomes dead space, like just a corridor to take the trash out.
Right. It's a complete waste of square footage.
But if you are listening to this and you've ever looked at a tiny patio or a narrow slice of a yard and felt completely overwhelmed by those imitations, well, you are in the right place.
You really are.
Because in this deep dive, our mission is to give you the exact space-saving design blueprint you need to unlock the potential of that cramped area.
Yeah, we're going to explore how to completely transform small, narrow Los Angeles backyards from claustrophobic corners into luxurious functional retreats.
And the insights we are unpacking today, they come from a team that tackles this specific architectural challenge daily.
Right, Cala Builders.
Exactly. They are a premier general contractor based right here in Los Angeles.
And we are basically looking at their methodology for maximizing these narrow LA lots to extract some highly actionable strategies.
Yeah, but before we get into the actual spatial mechanics of this, it really helps to understand the perspective we are pulling from.
Definitely.
Because these aren't just casual weekend gardening tips you'd find on Pinterest. These are serious structural and design strategies.
Right. I mean, Cala Builders is a fully licensed company, license number 1032013 to be exact.
Yeah, and they're bonded and insured. They are a full-service construction and remodeling company.
And that foundational element, like being fully licensed and insured, that is totally non-negotiable in Southern California.
Oh, absolutely. Construction here is heavily regulated.
Yeah, I mean, the permitting process alone is notoriously complex, and navigating tight property lines requires absolute precision.
And they handle projects all over, right? Like Los Angeles, Pasadena, the San Fernando Valley, and Santa Monica.
Exactly, which means they're constantly dealing with a massive variety of architectural styles and lot constraints.
Yeah. And they handle everything from luxury home building and full home renovations to, commercial tenant improvements.
Right, like restaurants or retail spaces.
So if you're sitting in a beautiful, newly renovated restaurant in Santa Monica, there's a solid chance they handled the build.
Yeah, but they also specialize in custom accessory dwelling units, or ADUs.
Right. And their operational model is a bit different than the traditional route, isn't it?
It is, yeah. They use what's called a design-build approach.
Okay, so what does that actually mean for the homeowner?
Well, the traditional model is highly fragmented. You hire an architect, you take those plans to a designer,
Right.
then you bid it out to a general contractor, who then hires a dozen subcontractors. It is just a recipe for miscommunication.
Sounds like a headache.
Oh, it is. But the design-build approach consolidates all of that. Architectural planning, design, permitting, and construction all live under one roof.
Okay, let's unpack this. Treating a contractor like a design-build one-stop shop is like having a single conductor for an entire orchestra.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right. Instead of trying to herd dozens of independent musicians who are all playing from different sheets of music.
It hits the nail on the head. Because when the architect drawing the plans and the builder swinging the hammer are on the same team from day one, you eliminate the friction.
That makes total sense.
There is no pointing fingers between the design team and the construction crew when a problem arises. Because, well, they are the same entity.
Right. And this requires extreme specialization internally, right? You don't just have one person trying to oversee everything.
Not at all. You have dedicated experts.
Like you have John Smith obsessively focused on the roofing elements.
Yes.
You have Mark Davis running point as the installation supervisor. Alex Brown's sole job is acting as the safety inspector. And Michael Taylor is dedicated entirely to quality control.
It's a highly compartmentalized machine.
Yeah, and that precise compartmentalization is exactly why their approach to narrow backyards is so effective.
Right, because think about it logically. A company that specializes in building ADUs.
Which are literally full houses built in people's existing backyards.
Exactly. A company like that is constantly battling tight lot lines. They have engineered a system for squeezing maximum functionality and luxury out of a heavily restricted footprint.
So let's get into that system. I mean, the very first step to fixing a cramped backyard isn't planting bushes or laying down sod, is it?
No, not at all. It's actually a psychological game.
A psychological game.
Yeah. It's about manipulating how the human brain perceives space through strategic layout. The whole goal is visual expansion.
Okay, so how does that work in practice?
Well, the immediate instinct for most people with a narrow space is to push their outdoor furniture right into the dead center, to create a gathering area.
Right, like an island in the middle of the yard.
Exactly. But doing that instantly chokes the yard. It breaks up the flow.
So what should you do instead?
You want to arrange your furniture and your major elements along the perimeter edges. By forcing everything to the boundaries, you preserve the center.
Oh, I see.
Which creates a vital sense of flow and immediate breathing room.
Okay, that makes sense. But they also utilize a trick involving diagonals, right?
Yes. This is a brilliant strategy.
So if you are laying down paving stones or decking boards, or even just orienting an outdoor rug and seating arrangement, doing it at a diagonal angle rather than perfectly parallel to the fence supposedly makes the area feel significantly larger.
It does. The geometry behind forced sight lines is fascinating.
How so?
Well, when you stand at your back door and look straight down a narrow rectangular yard, your eye travels the path of least resistance.
Right, straight from the front to the back fence.
Exactly. And it immediately emphasizes how incredibly short that distance is.
Okay, yeah.
But when you introduce diagonal lines into the flooring or the layout, you physically force the eye to zigzag.
Oh, wow.
The eye has to travel a much longer path to reach the back of the yard, and the brain subconsciously registers the area as wider and deeper than the physical measurements dictate.
That is wild. It's funny how easily our brains are tricked.
It really is.
We think we're objectively assessing the physical boundaries of a property, but we're really just following the invisible sight lines the designer built for us.
Exactly.
But here's where I need to push back a little bit. Here's where it gets really interesting. One of the boldest strategies for creating the illusion of depth is installing mirrors or reflective surfaces on those imposing side fences.
Yeah, that one usually catches people off guard.
Because, putting mirrors on an outdoor fence, doesn't that sound a bit like a carnival funhouse?
Well, sure, if you do it poorly.
Right. And what about Los Angeles dust? The smog, the water spots from the sprinklers. It seems like it would look terrible after a week and completely ruin any illusion you were trying to create. How does manipulating the layout actually change the physical feel of the space for you with mirrors?
What's fascinating here is how these are traditional interior design tricks brought outdoors. You aren't picturing a pristine, frameless bathroom mirror hanging on a wooden fence.
Okay, yeah, because that would look ridiculous.
It would absolutely look ridiculous and show every speck of dust. But that is not how you execute this.
So what do you use?
You use weathered, antiqued glass, or heavily distressed frames that look like old architectural salvage. The goal isn't a perfect reflection.
Okay.
The goal is to bounce ambient light into shadowy, cramped corners.
I see. So it's more about luminosity than a crystal clear reflection.
Precisely. And more importantly, you position these reflective surfaces so they capture the existing greenery.
So when your eye sweeps across the yard and hits the fence, instead of your brain registering a hard, claustrophobic wooden boundary,
It perceives a continuation of foliage.
oh, that's clever.
And the weathering on the mirror actually helps the illusion. It feels like you are looking through a slightly frosted, secret garden window into another yard rather than staring at a literal mirror.
So it effectively erases the hard stop of the physical wall.
Exactly. It tricks the eye and eliminates the claustrophobia of a narrow lot.
Okay, I see how the weathering actually protects the illusion from getting ruined by a little dirt. You aren't looking at a mirror, you're looking through a portal.
That's a great way to put it.
But wait, a mirror only reflects what is actually sitting in front of it.
Right.
If I haven't planted anything yet, the mirror is just going to double the reflection of my concrete bowling alley. We need plants.
Yes, you definitely need plants.
But we just went through all this trouble to open up the floor space by moving the furniture to the edges. I don't want to immediately clutter that hard-won floor space back up with heavy ceramic pots and wide bushes.
And this is exactly the puzzle of small space landscaping. You need lushness to feed the mirrors and soften the yard, but you cannot sacrifice the floor.
Right. So what's the move?
The solution is the vertical frontier. In a small footprint, your design must go up, not out.
Vertical gardens. I see these all over design blogs now.
Oh yeah, they are incredibly popular.
Wall-mounted planters, heavy-duty trellises attached to the fences, or even those freestanding garden towers where you can grow herbs, vegetables, and flowers all stacked on top of each other.
Exactly.
It's basically the architectural principle of building skyscrapers in a crowded city. Like when you run out of ground real estate, the only direction to expand is up.
That is exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the mechanics of vertical gardening require careful planning, especially on a fence.
Because of the weight?
Yes. Wet soil is incredibly heavy. You can't just nail a massive wooden planter box to a standard boundary fence and expect it to hold.
Right, the fence would just warp or collapse after a heavy rain.
Exactly. So you have to use lightweight soil aggregates, and you often utilize modular, pocketed felt systems or specialized plastic mounting grids that distribute the weight evenly.
That makes sense. And then there is the irrigation challenge. I mean, hand watering a 10-foot-tall vertical wall of plants every day in the Los Angeles heat is a nightmare.
That's impossible.
You'd be soaking the fence and yourself every single time. So how do you keep it alive without destroying the wood behind it?
You run a micro-drip irrigation line.
Okay, what is that?
It's a tiny quarter-inch plastic tube hooked up to a standard hose spigot with a basic battery-operated timer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the tubing runs up the side and weaves through the planters, delivering a slow drip of water directly to the roots.
And what about the fence?
You also install a waterproof backing, like a heavy plastic sheet, between the planters and the fence to prevent rot. And once that mechanical baseline is set, the psychological impact is profound.
Because it forces you to look up.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, planting vertically isn't just about saving physical space.
Right.
When plants cascade down a wall, they naturally draw the human eye upward. Instead of looking down at the cramped dimensions of the concrete slab, you are looking up toward the sky.
And because the sky has no boundaries, directing the eye upward subconsciously makes the entire environment feel expansive.
Exactly. It makes the boundaries of the yard feel limitless.
It is relentless, clever spatial manipulation.
It really is.
But even with the walls covered in greenery, you still need something to anchor the yard itself. Like a yard without a tree barely feels like a yard.
Sure.
But you plant a standard oak or a magnolia in a space like this, and in 10 years, the roots have destroyed your patio and the canopy has completely swallowed the yard in total darkness.
Yes. Scale is the most critical factor here. You need a focal point that provides structural architecture to the yard without becoming a monster.
Right.
This is why contractors heavily lean on dwarf fruit trees, like a dwarf Meyer lemon or Japanese maples.
Japanese maples are stunning. They have those delicate, incredibly intricate branch structures and that deep red foliage.
They're beautiful. And crucially, their root systems are relatively shallow and non-invasive.
So they won't tear up the foundations of your raised garden beds or your paving stones.
Exactly. They provide that essential focal point. They give you a sense of seasons changing, but they respect the physical dimensions of the space.
And speaking of raised garden beds, that is the strategy for the ground level plants you do decide to keep, right?
Yes.
Instead of planting directly into the ground where roots and soil bleed out into your walking paths, you contain everything in raised beds. It keeps the planting highly organized.
Containment is the core philosophy here, which brings us to a major turning point in the design.
Okay, what's that?
Well, we have erased the walls with mirrors, we've built skyscraper gardens, we've managed the scale of our trees, but we have to address the actual floor.
Ground control.
Yes.
Once the perimeter is sorted, you have to intentionally design the ground floor of this outdoor room. And one of the most highly recommended materials for the ground in these tight LA yards is pea gravel.
Pea gravel is an incredibly strategic choice for Southern California.
Why is that?
Well, from a purely practical standpoint, we deal with severe water restrictions. Trying to keep a tiny, shaded patch of grass alive in a narrow corridor between two fences is a waste of resources.
Right. And it usually just results in a muddy patch of weeds anyway.
Exactly. But pea gravel requires zero water, it provides excellent drainage during heavy winter rains, and it's highly affordable.
But beyond the utility of it, it provides an incredible amount of texture.
Oh, definitely.
A concrete slab feels cold and industrial. But when you walk on pea gravel, you get that satisfying crunch under your feet. It engages the senses.
It does.
So, what does this all mean for the layout? Are we basically using gravel to draw imaginary walls?
This raises an important question about how functionality dictates design. You are defining zones.
Zones, like rooms.
Yeah, think about how an open concept interior house works.
Mhm.
You have one giant space, but you put a large rug under the sofa to tell the brain, this specific area is the living room.
Right, I see.
In a small backyard, a defined patch of pea gravel tells the brain, this texture means this is the lounge area, while a pathway of stepping stones says this is the transit zone.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
It prevents the yard from feeling like a jumbled, chaotic storage closet for outdoor furniture.
That distinction between chaos and order is so important when you don't have square footage to hide your mistakes.
Exactly.
And if the pea gravel is the rug that defines the lounge area, the ultimate anchor for that specific room is a fire pit.
Yes. Whether it is a low-profile, table-style gas fire pit or a custom built-in design, fire possesses an undeniable psychological gravity.
Well, humans have been gathering around fires for thousands of years. It's hardwired into us to face the flame.
True.
But in a modern tiny backyard, it also serves a vital architectural purpose, right?
Exactly. Like we said, functionality dictates the design. In a tight space, loose chairs scattered randomly look messy and claustrophobic.
Right.
A fire pit isn't just pretty. It forces a deliberate, circular, and cozy seating arrangement.
Because everyone wants to face the fire.
Yes, it tells every single chair exactly where it needs to be oriented. It provides a center of gravity that brings absolute order to a chaotic small space.
It anchors the humans and the furniture. I love that. So let's review the environment we've built. We have the visual layout pushed to the edges with forced diagonal sightlines. We have the vertical greenery pulling the eye up. We have the antiqued mirrors erasing the fences. And we have the textured zones of pea gravel, anchored by the gravity of a fire pit.
It sounds amazing.
During the day, this space is an absolute triumph. But there is one final layer required to complete this backyard transformation, and it transitions the space from day to night.
Lighting.
Lighting.
Lighting is so often the most neglected element of outdoor design. People just rely on the glaring floodlight attached to their back door.
Oh, the motion sensor ones that blind you.
Yes, but in a small space, harsh lighting flattens everything and just highlights the fences.
Right.
Strategic, multi-layered lighting is the crucial final touch that adds immense perceived volume to the yard at night.
The primary move here is hanging string lights overhead, suspended over the seating areas or zigzagged between the fences to create a magical, cozy atmosphere.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Overhead string lights are basically doing the job of an architectural ceiling, right?
Yes, that is a great way to think about it.
They cap the space so you feel like you are inside a cozy, protected room, even when you're completely outside.
That is the exact mechanism at play. When the sun goes down, the darkness can make a small yard feel like an intimidating, endless void.
Or worse, it makes you feel exposed to all the surrounding neighbors' windows.
Right. By stringing warm lights overhead, you establish a canopy. You are creating a glowing, illuminated ceiling that defines the safe, usable boundaries of the yard.
You feel enclosed in warmth rather than exposed to the night sky.
Exactly.
But if you only have that glowing ceiling, the yard can feel a bit floaty or untethered in the dark.
True.
Which is why they contrast the string lights with the highly practical addition of solar-powered lights installed low to the ground, specifically along the pathways and the edges of the raised garden beds.
The low-level pathway lighting serves two essential functions. Practically, it is a safety measure. You need to navigate the space at night without tripping over your pea gravel pathways or stepping into a raised bed. But visually, it grounds the space. They work together perfectly to define the yard once the sun goes down.
If the string lights are the ceiling, the solar pathway lights are the baseboards.
Precisely. The low-level lights illuminate the perimeter, reinforcing all those distinct zones and rooms we painstakingly created during the day.
Oh, I see.
They cast soft shadows upward onto your vertical gardens and your dwarf trees, highlighting the textures of the space without blasting it with a harsh floodlight.
They work together perfectly. the ceiling of light above, the baseboards of light below, and suddenly your outdoor concrete corridor feels like a fully finished, meticulously designed architectural room.
It really is an incredible blueprint.
Let's do a quick distillation of these takeaways for the listener because we covered a lot of conceptual and mechanical ground today.
Yeah, it basically breaks down into a 4-step masterclass in spatial manipulation.
First, you visually expand the space with diagonals and mirrors. You push furniture to the edges, utilize diagonal lines to force longer sight lines, and install weathered mirrors to bounce light and erase the hard boundaries of the fences.
Second, you build up, not out. You embrace the vertical frontier with wall-mounted, drip-irrigated vertical gardens and carefully chosen dwarf trees with non-invasive roots that give you a focal point without eating up your square footage.
Third, you define the ground with pea gravel and fire pits. You utilize the texture and drainage of pea gravel to establish clear, distinct zones, and you anchor your seating area with the natural gravity of a fire pit to bring deliberate order to the layout.
And finally, you top it off with string lights. It's architecture made of light. String lights for a cozy, protective ceiling and solar pathway lights to ground the space and guide your feet.
Now, if you are listening to this and you are ready to stop staring out the window at a cramped patch of dirt and you want to finally transform your space, you need to reach out to the experts whose playbook we've been analyzing today.
Absolutely. You can find the team at Cala Builders. They are located at 5260 W Pico, Below VD, Los Angeles, California, 90000.
And if you prefer to call them directly to discuss your specific yard or ADU project, their number is 213-855-7557.
And in an industry where contractors are notorious for ghosting people, they actually pride themselves on being incredibly responsive. They aim to answer all initial inquiries within 24 hours.
That alone is worth its weight in gold in the Los Angeles construction market. So to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder on your own.
Okay.
We've spent this entire time dissecting how applying these very deliberate expansion techniques,
Like the forced diagonals, the reflective illusions.
you're right, and the lighting canopies, how all of that makes a tiny restrictive backyard feel like a sprawling retreat. But consider this. If applying these deliberate techniques to a small outdoor space makes it feel like a highly curated interior room,
Yeah.
how might bringing that same ruthless efficiency, that same dedication to visual illusion back inside completely change the way you live in the rest of your home?
Oh, wow. That is a great question.
Think about that bowling alley yard.
Yeah.
With a little bit of psychological design, it might just become the best room you never knew you had.